Hello, everyone. This is Alessandro. The Carli speaking from Papers. Today, I'm going to talk about a project we developed on the Tezos blockchain for distributing vouchers to the population of a city. But before we get to the project, let me quickly add a couple of words to the introduction so that people understand how the project actually came about. We're Papers, a software company focused on blockchain and mobile security. The company started 10 years ago with the development of mobile security solutions for large financial institutions, and decided then to provide the security knowledge gathered in the context of mobile banking and to provide it to the actual crypto community. People might know us also from other projects like AirGap, which is a self-custody solution, or loyalty solutions built on blockchain. Now, the ecoo project that I'm going to discuss and present here today is actually a joint effort between these three parties. Papers actually took over the responsibility to provide the security functionality as well as the backend that was talking to the blockchain. Then Duda has been very helpful in implementing and designing all the user experience. And last but not least, Farner has helped us with the actual communication and spreading the word of this platform. So what ecoo basically is, it came about as a project where cities would be able to push and help and support the local economy with some vouchers. And these vouchers would get sent to the citizens of that city. And in a concrete case, the first use case that actually started with this project was the city of Wetzikon with 25,000 citizens. And the way it works on a high level is that the city hands out digital vouchers in, or the other way around, actually, the citizens can claim a digital voucher with an app and then basically spend that voucher in the local economy of Wetzikon, and then the companies that are eligible to those payments can in the end receive the settlement paid out in Swiss francs. The whole thing is a mobile based payment solution, and there is an app for iOS and Android. However, also citizens that are not as tech savvy as like most of the people can also use a paper wallet. So the system also supports a paper wallet. And it's very simple for the shop. You just download the app, install it, and then you can already accept at the point of sale your payments. Now, I believe it's easier if you actually have seen the application and how it works. Hence, I prepared a little demo today. I hope that everybody can see it. This is when you install the application, you can go through an onboarding. The user can then select an identity provider such as Apple or Google, then select whether they are a user or a company. In this case, we decided to be a company, and they have now this way to input the amount that they want the other person to pay. And this generates a QR. On the left-hand side, we see the application of the user that just scanned that QR and then managed to pay. Both parties see an instant notification if the payment has succeeded, and like this, it's actually very easy and very quick, fast for people to pay. Now, many people might wonder, okay, this is all very nice, but why exactly are you using the Tezos blockchain for this project, or a blockchain in general? Now, one thing that one must highlight here is that blockchain is just a technology, and it is a technology that comes also with trade-offs. Hence, what we had to do here is basically evaluate whether it would make sense or not to use such technology. And of course, in the beginning, we saw that there are certainly very good properties to this technology, but also then bad and then ugly things that came out during the project. And I will now go through these various points because I believe that these are also the lessons learned during this project. So in general, the good thing why a blockchain would make sense for such a project is that, of course, the use case of secure transactions is basically the use case of a blockchain. You have an end-to-end crypto transaction system that you can basically just leverage. And by the way, the whole system that you see here is on a public blockchain, namely the Tezos blockchain. So this is not a private blockchain system. Then the other thing, what was very important for this project, is that there is a transparency component to it. So people see that how those funds are allocated, and in the end that no one is getting more funds than they should. Of course, and this goes also into the transparency factor, the immutability and auditability of the system was very important, because in the end, this is also public money that is being distributed. So you want to make sure that this can be audited. Then for the bad part, we already knew from the beginning, before we started with the project, that there will be transaction fees that we need to pay on the blockchain if we're going for a public blockchain. Also, most of the blockchains have a confirmation time for transactions because the transaction is only confirmed once it's in a block, and blocks only come after a given time period, like 10 minutes, 1 minute. The other thing is also for end users that are not really interested in blockchain technology at all, performing the secret management on their own can be a pain in the neck. And this is also one of the challenges that we had, of course, to resolve. Now, in a traditional blockchain system, the way a payment would work is the user sets up a wallet. This means they need to care about somehow preserving that secret in a secure backup. Then they will need to own the native currency. In our case, it would be the Tezos currency, so that they could pay for the fees. Then they can start to claim these tokens that are distributed by the city. Finally, they can create a transaction, and then they have to wait for confirmation. Now, this is very cumbersome, and of course not something that people can use in their everyday life. It was clear from the beginning that the solution would need to be as smooth as a solution that people are used to, like a Revolut or Twint here in Switzerland. And it was also clear from the beginning that people don't care whether a blockchain is used or not. Then the ugly was that it turned out that specifically on Tezos, the storage burn for actually bookkeeping of balances is quite a high cost. And the other question that also came up was, what do you do with people that don't want to use digital, like don't want to use the app? How can you onboard them? So we had to think about solutions for basically all the challenges we just discussed in the bad and ugly part. And this is what we have come up with. In general, we're using the FA2 smart contract standard for Tezos, which is a token standard. This was already developed by the community, and we could simply reuse and adhere to the standard. By doing so, it would help us because it's already indexable, and people can just open up any block explorer and for auditability purposes then go through the various transactions. So we did not need to build any explorer just for this purpose. This is where the standard came in handy. Then the other thing that allowed us to basically make sure that people don't need to own any native currency, such as Tezos, and they don't need to pay any fees, was to work with meta transactions. And this is a type of transaction that is still using cryptography to be signed directly by the user. However, there is the backend that can confirm its finality instantly. Like you saw in the demo, we don't need to wait for 2 minutes. The confirmation is really just instant. And then at the later stage, the backend will be able to just batch all those meta transactions and make sure that the smart contract actually reflects the state of the system. This allowed us to provide instant transactions, lowered, of course, also the fees, and made the contracts also auditable. One thing that I haven't mentioned before that is a very good and very strong advantage of using a blockchain in this case is that if you can basically reduce your whole transaction logic to a smart contract, later on to basically audit that smart contract or the security of that smart contract will be very, very easy. Perfect. Cool. Then let me see here. Now it's continuing. Another thing that we needed to solve was the way for people to recover their private keys in case they lost it, because we don't force the user to back up any secrets, since this is not very common for an everyday app. And what we did here is basically delegate the responsibility of identity to a third-party identity provider, such as the Google account or the Apple ID. And this is also the screen that you saw in the demo at the beginning when someone launches the app. Using this recovery oracle or also recovery authority allows us to have a very, very straightforward onboarding for the user. And basically the user can at any point in time just log in with their credentials and on any device then recover their funds. The other thing is it's still transparent because all of these transfer and recoveries are visible on the blockchain. So the auditability property is still intact. But of course, some people might say that this is then a centrally controlled system. Of course it is. We're not saying anything against it. However, the purpose here was really to provide a system that would be secure and easy for the people to use. So this allowed us basically to convert all the bad properties and the ugly properties to advantages, so that it would allow us to use the blockchain and leverage the technology for this specific project. And yeah, here, if you remember the challenges that we had before, now we have no fees for the end user because the backend is then batching and paying the fees, way less fees. The confirmation is instant, and secret management basically has been entirely resolved, or let's say offloaded to the identity providers such as Apple ID and Google. And the process now is very seamless. If you're using Apple ID, the user just needs to show his or her biometrics and can already start claiming tokens and creating transactions without having any wait for confirmations, without having to care about the secret management or the Tezos fees. As for the storage burn that we discovered at the later stage, this is also something that has been addressed by the Tezos community. There will be a new proposal for Tezos that will be activated very soon, called the Delphi proposal, and then the storage burn will actually cost 1/4 of what it's costing right now. And for non-digital users, now we have paper wallets. We already onboarded an elderly home, and they are now very happy with the paper wallets that they received. So the current state is that the development started in July. The whole product launched in October. So you see, within shy of 3 months, we managed to provide a solution in the hands of the users. And this was only possible with all the security reviews and everything, all the organization behind it, because we were able to leverage standards and leverage already existing technology and an already existing platform such as the Tezos blockchain. The whole thing was also already covered on national TV, actually yesterday, on Schweiz Aktuell, for the ones that still watch national TV. And there is the steady growth of daily transactions, and also quite interesting, the approved shops number is growing. And this shows us that this chicken and egg problem, where it's only interesting to onboard as a shop if you have users, and it's only interesting for a user to onboard if you have shops. That's actually this problem is now being solved day by day with the number of new users and new approved shops. For the project itself, the city, I already mentioned, this is Wetzikon. It's 25,000 residents, and each of the residents received 10 Swiss francs. And this is a total amount of 250,000 Swiss francs. It was also very important for the city that the amount can not be exceeded. This was also one of the great advantages of actually using a blockchain in this case. Now, for future development, the system that I just showed is actually quite generic and can be used also for other use cases. Basically, every use case where you have either time, location, or purpose-bound use case for payment, the system will be very interesting. One of those can be events like festivals, where the festival organizer or where inside the festival, basically you just pay with your mobile phone using those coupons. The advantage here is that in the end of the festival, all of the booth can just settle everything and get everything paid out on their Swiss bank account, for example, like it is the case already now with the shops of Wetzikon. And people don't have to walk around with cash, nor they have to care too much about having all these little payment machines for credit cards. Like you have a smartphone and then you can start using it. This can also be extended to more spiritual use cases like church communities and donations, where people want just to promote certain businesses, and foundation want to really steer the way that the funds can be used. And this actually already brings me to the end of the presentation. In case there are any questions now, I will be very happy to take those questions. Or if you want to reach me at a later state, you can also just drop me an email on this email address. And I hope you actually enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you, Alessandro. Was this the end of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if there are no questions, then we will end here, but so people can contact you on your email, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. All right. And this session will also be recorded and shared on YouTube. So if somebody missed it from the beginning, then they can also find it on our YouTube channel with Trust Square, which will be posted there soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for the participation. Bye-bye.